Mr. Shifty was developed by Team Shifty and was released in April 2017 for the PC and the Nintendo Switch. It is an isometric action game similar in style to the famous Hotline Miami games, and it follows a silent thief known only by Mr. Shifty, who's being guided via radio by a woman named Nyx in stealing a weapon called the Mega Plutonium from a giant tower building. The antagonist is Chairman Stone, who will stop at nothing to keep Mr. Shifty from obtaining the weapon. However, Mr. Shifty has a trick up his sleeve. He can teleport around like Nightcrawler from the X-Men, and is pretty good with his fists. He doesn't use guns or anything like that, but he isn't above picking up a trident and sticking someone to a wall. The goal of the game is to go stage by stage through the huge tower and either beat everyone's ass in sight, or just survive long enough to make it to the next floor. Now there is a limit on how many times in a row Mr. Shifty can teleport, but they recharge really fast, so I never ran into any spots where I couldn't do it when I needed to. Enemies are everywhere, and lots of them have different weapons. Thankfully, all the different varieties wear different colored clothes, so they make it easy to spot who should be taken out first. They either have handguns, shotguns, machine guns, dual pistols, automatic shotguns, flamethrowers, grenade launchers, rocket launchers, batons, or they're just big brute bastards. Mr. Shifty can only take one hit, and then it's lights out. Thankfully though, there are checkpoints at the beginning of every room. Some of the later levels get really tough, so I'm glad I didn't have to do an entire floor over every time. That would have been a bit too much. The controls are quite solid, and teleporting as well as punching the hell out of enemies feels really good. Every hit actually felt like it had some weight to it, and teleporting became second nature really fast. Shifty can teleport through most walls as long as they aren't super thick, which makes finding cover from enemies a whole lot easier than just running around looking for it. Some cover is better than others though, because things like glass are really thin and see-through, so standing in front of those for longer than a split second isn't a good idea. Now there are some sections that involve running away from lasers and explosive barrels, which can be frantic. Some of them can almost feel like puzzles, with figuring out the best way to handle them. Same thing with fighting enemies. There are huge dangerous groups that can appear, and most of the time it's best to just let them shoot each other by appearing in front of them and then teleporting at the last possible second. The best time I had with this was when the explosive shooting douchebags showed up. They damn near killed everyone around them. After running into Chairman Stone, he learns about Mr. Shifty's gift to make walking irrelevant and tries to imprison him. Shifty breaks out almost immediately but runs into a bit of a snag. Stone has made rooms where teleportation is impossible. Thankfully, this can be stopped in most of the rooms by destroying devices that are causing the issue. I was impressed by the level designs with how they added new dangers and obstacles to keep things from getting too repetitive. By the end though, I must say that the sections got extremely wild, but don't go on for too long. By the time I started to feel like things were getting insane, the game was ending. It's only about 4 to 5 hours long, so it's about the right length for this type of game. The graphics are really sharp and cartoonish. I like the style a lot, even though I do have a gripe about them. They seem to cause frame dips in random spots, and it can be a hindrance to the action in the last few stages. Mainly because that's when I noticed them the most. I'm not sure what was causing this, but I was reading on discussion threads that people with even high-end systems were having the same trouble. It's not enough to make me dislike the game at all, but the few times it happens can be a minor annoyance. Mr. Shifty was also prone to crashing once in a while. This didn't happen often either, but I would say it was about 3 or 4 times in my 5 hours of playtime. One of the times it was just getting stuck on the loading screen near the end of one of the toughest stages in the game. Now that was bullshit. Oh well, it really only set me back less than 10 minutes, so I wasn't too upset, but it is an issue. I'm not sure how the Nintendo Switch version is, but hopefully it runs well. So, would I recommend Mr. Shifty? Well, I think if you're a fan of Hotline Miami, or intense action, then I say you really need to pick this one up. Even though it has a few minor flaws, the overall package is really fun, and most of the sections in the game had my heart racing. And that doesn't happen very often. So any action game that can make that happen gets my seal of approval. Mr. Shifty is just a lot of fun, and doesn't have a hefty price tag. And even if you aren't 100% sure about it, just grab it on a sale. Thanks for watching everybody. If you liked the video, just hit the subscribe button, ring the little bell so you can get notifications every time that I put up a new video, and I'll have plenty of reviews coming out very soon.